Hey everyone, this is Reverend Bill, and it is just about 1:43 a.m. On Friday, 10:24, and we got a lot to go over today. The problem with doing these things is whenever I wanted to do them, I'm going over the stuff on my little cheat sheet, and I always end up, taking a peek online, and the world is so crazy that I end up wanting to stuff some extra things on at the last minute, and that delays things. And sometimes there's so much stuff that I don't end up getting to it, and it bleeds into another day or so. But anyway, there were some last minute additions. One of which, by the way, I didn't actually even throw on here because there was just too much to throw on. But I do want to mention it, and that is Kim Kardashian I guess, found a brain aneurysm. And this surprises me because it's kind of like, oh yeah, on her show, I don't know, is Keeping Up the Kardashians? I thought it was over, but I guess there's some show that she revealed that she's got a brain aneurysm. And I just glanced over the article really quickly, and she's blaming it on stress and Kanye. But there seems to be no immediate response to it. And I've had some experience with a brain aneurysm, thank God not on me, but one of my ex-wives, yeah, I've been married 4 times. I have some experience with this. She had a brain aneurysm. These aren't, oh, by the way, I've got a brain aneurysm. Brain aneurysm, and I have no reason to doubt if Kim Kardashian says she has one, why would I ever doubt anything that any Kardashian ever says? I mean, we know that the Kardashians are always truthful, and everything they say we can take to our grave as being 100% unfiltered and gospel. But it's not a headache. It's not a toothache. A brain aneurysm is a very, very serious thing. And it's nothing you go on your TV show and go, hey, guess what, everyone? I've got a brain aneurysm. A brain aneurysm is an extremely serious thing. And when you get a brain aneurysm and it explodes, 2 things happen. You either die or you go into a very, if you're lucky, you just have brain damage. And when I say brain damage, I don't mean necessarily a vegetable, or you could be a vegetable. But it does take a toll. I think Peter Gammons actually was lucky enough to get a brain aneurysm explode, and he recovered. And when I say recovered, I think he more or less recovered. I do know that afterwards he had some difficulty talking, but I mean more or less he survived, and he was able to continue doing his shows. And at times you could tell he was struggling a little bit, but for the most part, for a man that survived a brain aneurysm, he was great. But for the most part, you die. But there are some people who actually live through brain aneurysms, and I don't think they're ever really 100%, but they're lucky to be alive. And if you can function after a ruptured brain aneurysm, God's been good to you. So this isn't a thing where, you go into your show and go, hey, everybody, I've got a brain aneurysm, and I blame Kanye West for making me all stressed out. It's a thing where you really need to go and get it taken care of. My wife did actually get it taken care of, and I understand, according to the doctor, she had like one of the best. I made sure she went to Boston and got one of the best that took care of her, and it actually exploded on the table, so it was very close, and she had to have her head shaven, and it was a major deal, and she came out of it fine. So anyway, the point is that had a great ending for her. And she was lucky, but this isn't a thing. I mean, going around talking about it and blaming it on Kanye and discussing it, that's not how you handle these things. You go to your doctor's office and get a good surgeon, and you book an appointment and you get it taken care of. So again, I'm not saying she doesn't have one, but if she does, it's not a thing you go on TV and talk about and discuss and talk about how much you resent Kanye for giving you stress for getting it. You go to the hospital and you get it taken care of. So I'm not really sure what's going on. If she's got one, she shouldn't be standing around talking about it. She needs to go get it taken care of ASAP. That's what I know about brain aneurysm. So I don't know why we're all reading about it. We should be reading about her recovery in the after the procedure, the operation. It's nothing to be taken lightly in the least. She should be going right to her OR right now and getting it taken care of. So I don't understand this discussing it nonsense. My 2 cents from my experience. And like I said, I have had some experience, and I've talked to some of the world's best doctors regarding this and my ex-wife. So I know a little bit about the stuff. But anyway, we're moving on. And she has a brain aneurysm. Kim, don't talk about it. Go to the surgeon and have it removed ASAP, really, immediately. All right, let's get on with this. Share the screen. We're going to start off with this very interesting story about this poor woman who's having the world pick on her. This damsel in distress. Obviously, a very frail, delicate woman is being picked on here. The swimmer Anna Caldas. Anyone can see this. This little waif is being picked on. She's obviously a woman, a beauty queen by anyone's standards. But they're actually saying that they do not buy into the fact that this is a woman, and they wanted to do a test on her, some kind of. I didn't say that it was a hormone test. They actually said it was some kind of a genetics test or something. I don't know what it was. They wanted to get some determination, doubting the fact that this was actually a woman. And he didn't, she said she didn't have insurance and it was unnecessary. So it was refused. So they slapped a 5-year ban on this lovely lady for 5 years and stripped of medals. And personally, of this dainty little flower, I don't see how really. I mean, how long are we going to be insane like this? This man was competing against women in swimming and winning medals, and I don't know. I mean. Just when you think the world can get crazier, you find out some hulking beast like this who's calling himself Anna and swimming against women. I don't know. The world just gone insane. And the very fact that we're even discussing this is really beyond belief. So, yeah, that's the story here. And what more can we say except that the world's gone completely insane, where this man was allowed to compete against women for years and win competitions, passing himself off as a woman. Again, I'm really speechless. I don't even know what more to say. But I wish I could say that the stories start getting more sane as we continue. But unfortunately, this is the world we are living in. Who needs Monty Python when we have real life, right? Okay. How much more of these do we have to go over? So this is an illegal alien that came in and was kept in this country, even though he was discovered by Biden's catch and release program. He was from India. He was caught, of course, and released under Biden's program. 21 from India. There is a dash cam video, which I've not copied. It just, it's kind of disgusting. A year ago, I probably would have played it and what, but it's so often we're seeing these things now again. I mean, it's just, you're just watching another one of these accidents. And it's getting more and more and more. And this particular one, he was, again, catch and release, 21, could have been very, very easily avoided if they just sent him back. But they didn't. They came in here. He had no license for doing this. I don't believe he had a license. He was drunk. He didn't slow down. There was traffic that was stopped ahead, and he continued being drunk behind the wheel, sped right into traffic, killed 3 people. I think they said he injured several more. And the thing is, when you hear about these accidents, you hear about the 3 dead, and then you hear, oh, he injured several others. I mean, don't give any thought really to those several others. But those several others are forgot about, but they could be paralyzed, or crippled or whatever. I mean, you don't even hear about those, and they're kind of forgotten about, but they're the ones that have to live the rest of their lives, probably with limbs cut off or paralyzed or whatever. I mean, you don't know about them. They're the ones that usually have to live the rest of their lives with this. But of course, he's 21, he was drunk, and he's going to jail, probably will be at some point deported. But this is a highly, highly, highly avoidable accident. There's so many people that have to die because of just unavoidable things like natural disasters and cancers and other horrible things, ALS, or we lose people to just old age. You can't really do much about that. But then you hear about all these lives that are taken that are completely avoidable, and people are losing parents and they're losing children. And you look at it and go, they didn't have to die. They did not have to go meet their glory with Jesus. They had more life to live. And they were taken away from us because of these ridiculous catch and release programs and these illegals coming over here and taking away our loved ones. And they didn't have to die. But because of recklessness, they're no longer with us. And, you're just shaking your head and going, 3 dead and several, who knows how many several is, but, these are lives ruined that didn't have to be. And I wish we could just turn the page and go into something a little bit happier. But guess what we have for you? Well, just let's finish this one. There's a little more, another picture here. So yeah, he entered through the release program. There's another picture of the accident. Anyway, we have another one. This is Broco, who was driving Highway 20 in Indiana. When this one, what happened was, if I understand this correctly, and I discussed this with ChatGPT to make sure I got this correctly. So essentially what I got here is there was a van that was trying to take a left turn. And for some reason, he didn't want to stop for some reason, or maybe he couldn't stop. I'm not sure exactly why. But instead, what he did was he tried to pass the van who was taking a left-hand turn by going to his left, which actually makes no sense at all. If he was going to be reckless, you'd think he'd go to the right, but the van's trying to take a left, and this guy decided to pass him on his left. So what happened is he went to the left, and he went into head-coming traffic, and he smacked head first into a car who was, driving head first against him. So he hit head first into that car, and that car, his car, and I guess the van who was trying to take a left all collided. Another illegal immigrant, he did not have here's the thing here. He did not have a valid CDL. He came from California. This was in Florida, by the way, very reminiscent of what happened last month, except he had a CDL from another driver that was expired. So God only knows what he was trying to do. My best guess is that he was trying to pretend to be another driver by using an expired license. Now, maybe he thought that if he got stopped or anything, he could pretend to be that guy and go, oops, I didn't realize my license expired. I'll have to get that fixed, thinking he could get some kind of a grace period. That's the only thing I can possibly think of, because the license he had wasn't his and it was expired. So maybe he just thought that he could pretend to be that other driver and that he forgot that his license expired or something. I don't know. But he was not licensed, and I don't believe the company that he was with was licensed to have him driving. So there was a whole mess of crimes here. Or alleged crimes. I got to be careful because I don't want to say anything that's going to get me alleged. But everything here was alleged. He was allegedly not licensed, no CDL, alleged illegal maybe. So anyway, there was a whole bunch of broken regulations here, and again, reckless, felony charge of reckless homicide. The driver was killed, and another one completely avoidable. How many more do we have to do about this? I mean, it seems like every day, although today I've got 2, but it seems like every day I'm coming across this. I've got to do these kind of stories. And it's almost like serving donuts in the morning at a donut shop. It's just like every day I see another one of these stories becoming old hat. Where's it going to end? Moving along. I mean, they're not even really that unique anymore. It's just another one. He didn't have a driver's license. And then the state California is becoming a regular too. Oh, is that really what Newsom wants? Gavin Newsom really wants to be president? Seriously, how could he possibly run for president with all this stuff? If his state's not burning down, his CDL unlicensed drivers are killing, it looks like Florida's usually the victim. But I mean, how could this guy honestly, seriously want to be president? He can't even handle his CDL drivers in his own state. It's ridiculous. Okay, this one's very interesting. Doesn't actually involve any illegal aliens, so that's different. This one just came out. It's a very vague story and it's still developing. But the NBA. So this is going to be a story that's not really fleshed out yet. It's very, very developing and it's very weird. It's got a lot of legs. They found an NBA gambling scandal, and it's a couple of stories, but it actually probably could be even more. So the 2 stories that may or may not be related, they're calling them separate, but they seem to be kind of related, is that Hall of Famer Chauncey Billups, he started out with the Celtics, and then he jumped, I guess, to the Hornets, and then he went to the Trailblazers. And I think he's a coach for the Trailblazers. Anyway, I think he played for the Heat and the Hornets, and now he's a coach for the Trailblazers. He was a coach. I'm not sure he will be anymore. But he's been caught up in a poker gambling scheme with the mafia. Actually, I shouldn't say the mafia. I think there's a few mafias he's been involved with. And he's also been tied to giving information, allegedly, about some games that he may or may not have been tanking. Got to be careful with this alleged thing. By the way, as always, I leaned heavily for pictures and headlines from the Post, although I use certainly other things for my information, not the least of which is AIs, to do some research. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying, for a lot of this poker stuff, as you can see here, they're using high-tech equipment on their gambling tables. This is actually the cards face down on the table. They now have high-tech stuff so that when the cards are face down, they can see what cards they are. So if the house wasn't stacked enough against you, all this high-tech equipment really seals the deal. So really, you've got very little chance, it looks like, at winning when you go into one of these casinos, because they know everything that's going on here. So that seems like Chauncey Billups. So he's been tied into talking about tanking games and tied into casinos and gambling with multiple mafiosos, I believe, allegedly. And then Terry Rozier, also an ex-Celtic who has been playing around. Actually, was it Terry Rozier? I don't know. I'm getting the teams mixed up. But Chauncey Billups is the one that's who's been tied to the mafiosa and to the tanking of the games. Maybe it was Terry Rozier who played for Miami. Anyway, you can look it up. But Terry Rozier was drafted number 16 by the Celtics, and then he moved around. But anyway, regardless, Terry Rozier is the one who they think he might be throwing the games because I guess at one point they have a clip of him faking a foot injury in one of the games. I guess he threw he hit a shot from the free throw line and then get to half court. You see him tugging at his feet or his foot. And he actually told them that he was going to be leaving that game early to give them a heads up that he'd be leaving it anyway. So he's the one who's actually been working as far as allegedly giving information about games, probably sitting games out. So there maybe allegedly a little bit of a point play there. So he's in trouble for that. So he, as far as the game shaving and game throwing, he might be a little bit more involved with that. With Chauncey Billups might be more in charge might be more tied into the poker gambling, and Terry would be more with the game shaving allegedly. Although Chauncey Billups was mentioned in as far as tanking games. So I don't really know how close Chauncey Billups is into point shaving or point or game playing, but Terry definitely is, and Chauncey's definitely tied into the poker. But I get a feeling that Chauncey's going to be tied into the game shaving a little bit too, but I'm only guessing, and that's allegedly. So again, it's very, very much an investigative phase right now. But they're both involved, and we'll see. They also say there's 31 people involved. I'll hear all the families. And I guess there's also information that someone was giving out LeBron James health information. Somebody who was a teammate on the Cavaliers was leaking out LeBron James health information. Apparently, LeBron James wasn't, but someone in the know in the clubhouse was kind of saying, hey, LeBron's not going to be playing tonight. His legs or his foot's bad. I think it was Damon Jones. I don't know how you pronounce that. He was the one, I think, that was spilling out the information that LeBron's not going to be playing tonight. So, yeah, that was playing into it too. But again, a lot of this stuff's really iffy right now. It's not very clear. It's changing by the hour. So I don't really know. What is known as, it implicates Terry Rozier, Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and probably others. And it definitely involves the mafia. It involves gambling, poker games, and actual games. And that's really all it knows. And like I said, this story is changing by the hour. So everything I'm spewing out for you, if it sounds, kludgy and vague, it's because it is kludgy and vague right now, and there's really nothing definite. And like I said, it's changing almost by the hour every time I look. So I apologize, it's not clear cut, but it's anything but clear cut now. So yeah, it'll change. Moving along. Okay, let's look at our good buddy here, Mamdani. And this one bothers me because I remember 9/11 very, very well. I mean, I'm 60, so to me, 9/11 seems like a couple of weeks ago. After that, one of the things I remember the most is everyone in New York, I think in the United States in general, but in New York specifically, because it really hit in the heart, we will never forget. We will never forget. Well, guess what, guys? You forgot. Okay, it's that simple. You forgot. And you probably forgot because you let in a whole bunch of immigrants that not only didn't care, but probably were glad that it happened. And you don't have to look for any more proof than this guy. And he heard his buddies with people that were probably actively involved in planning it. So let's go over some of his friends. And these names I'm really not going to be very good with. He campaigned with Iman Siraj Rahaj, who was a co-conspirator in the 1993 World Trade Center bombings. And he was a character witness for the terrorist who organized it. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. And along with City Council, Youssef Salam campaigned with Iman Wahaj a day after the debate. Today, I had the pleasure of meeting with Iman Siraj Wahaj, one of the nation's foremost Muslims leader and a pillar of the Bed-Stuy community. And Bed-Stuy is short for Bedford Stuyvesant, a neighborhood in Brooklyn. I didn't know that. But his son, Siraj, was convicted of terrorism in 2024, and two of his daughters, Hujra and Subhana, were convicted of kidnapping, resulting in death following an incident in New Mexico. They hoarded weapons, provided technical training, and spoke of waging jihad. This guy, Anwar al-Awlaki, Mamdani questioned FBI over why they were even keeping an eye on this guy. He was killed in a U.S. drone strike in Yemen in 2011. And this guy presided over a mosque where three of the 9/11 hijackers worshipped. He was linked to Umar Farouk, oh my goodness, Adu Matalab, the underwear bomber who tried to blow up a plane. And he actually inspired murders of 12 people in the Paris office. And inspired the Boston Marathon bombing of 2013. So, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to want to keep an eye on this guy. And then this woman, Linda Sarsour, is a big contributor to Mamdani's campaign. And she's a supporter of the campaign to boycott, divestment, and sanction against Israel. And she's an anti-Semite. And they both campaigned for Rasmia Odeh, I guess, a member of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, and was convicted of bombing. Odeh was convicted of bombing a supermarket in Israel in 1969. So really not a very nice pool of friends, if you ask me. And this is the guy that's going to be, looks like he's going to be mayor of New York, the city that said they would never forget. Now, this is a very interesting thing. I found this story really, really fascinating on a number of levels. So Don Lemon, he said he wants Black and brown people to exercise their Second Amendment to buy guns due to illegal immigration. So he did a podcast and he said to people to use their Second Amendment. He told them because of illegal immigration and ICE crackdowns, he says to get out, get a license, and go get a gun. And he said, essentially, that's what the Second Amendment's for. He said, if you feel unsafe in your house and you're in a Black household or a brown household, or whether you're Indian American or Mexican American, get a gun, keep it in a safe place, and teach your kids gun safety. And he says, the Second Amendment says to carry your gun, and it's you're Black or you're brown and you don't feel safe, that you need to get a gun and keep it in your house and basically feel safe. And I got to say, right on. That is exactly what the Second Amendment's for. And I honestly think Charlie Kirk would agree with me if he was around. I don't know why this is supposed to be controversial. If he wants to say it's because of ICE, okay. I don't agree it should be because of ICE, but I don't care what the reason is. That's what the Second Amendment's for. And I think this is a very Republican stance. And if he wants to say it's because of ICE and it's because you're Black or you're brown, I don't care what your reasons are. The Second Amendment is there for anyone who feels endangered. That is your right. And if he wants to use ICE as an excuse, I don't care. Whatever your reason is, if anyone feels unsafe or they feel endangered, the Second Amendment is there to protect you. And as long as you're using it, and he says, teach your children gun safety, keep it at home, and feel safe. And I got to say, yeah, right on. Okay. If ISIS's reason, I think it's unfortunate, but yeah, whatever your reason is, if you feel unsafe, go get a gun and put it in your safe and learn gun safety. And if your children are around, teach them gun safety. I don't care what your reason is. I'm very surprised that Don Lemon's saying this, and I'm very surprised more people don't have my attitude. I don't care what your reason is. The Second Amendment's there to feel safe in your own house. And if that's his reasons, okay. But whatever your reasons are, that's the Second Amendment. Go right ahead. This other one bothers me. Unlike last week with that woman at the game who leaned forward and said, call ICE, it was an inappropriate thing for her to do, especially being the fact that she was in HR, or she was a headhunter. I'm sorry, she wasn't in HR. She was a headhunter. And because of her job and because of what happened, I think it was unfortunate. I thought she was inappropriate. And unfortunately, she lost her job over it, but I understand that. But then this week, this woman, this beast, I don't want to I could easily say nasty things about her. I could call her a wildebeest, but I won't. I could call her a mental midget, but I won't. But I mean, she's out there. She's the teacher of children, and she's mocking Charlie Kirk's assassination. She's not fit to teach children at all. And I find out later that not only was she not fired, but she's hailed as a victim. And they sent out a memo in her school saying that she's been unjustly harassed, and they're asking for her sympathy. And I expected fully for her to be fired and reprimanded. I expected her to apologize. And the very fact that she's a liberal and she's being protected, this is far worse than that woman did in the game. What that woman did in the game was legal. She did not break any laws. What I thought she did was inappropriate, but she was not condoning an assassination. If she said that anywhere else, but on a recording at a baseball game, it would be fine. I just thought it was an inappropriate thing for her to do at a baseball game. This is completely on a different planet. This is a different universe. She's a school teacher, and really what looks to me like a borderline mob rally here, condoning an extremely illegal act for an assassination of a peaceful man. I mean, this is not even in the same universe as that woman whispering, call ICE, which is, again, not an illegal act at all. It was a very legal act, and anywhere except a baseball game on a tape or video would have been fine. There's no place in the world this would have been fine, and certainly not fine for a woman who teaches our children. This is horrendous. And she actually is protected. So I don't know what world we live in. This is outrageous to me. And I really got nothing else to say except I'm ashamed to be a human being in the same world as this woman. Lucy Martinez and in Chicago. Unbelievable. I cannot believe that she's actually being protected. Absolutely insane. But anyway, that's what you get from Chicago, I guess. And by the way, for those of you who care, Chicago is not called the Windy City because of the wind. I like to throw these little facts out now and again. It's actually called Windy City because of the politicians. They were always considered to be just a bag of wind because this goes back to when there was a lot of corruption. Not like this there, isn't still. Hey, Obama came from Chicago, hint, hint. No, but that's why it was called the Windy City, because the politicians were considered to be big bags of air, and somehow that's been accepted that oh no, it's windy. No, I mean by the sea, any sea by the ocean's windy. By Boston, I came from Boston. Believe me, I know all about that. I worked on the ocean, very windy there too. But anyway, here's another one. This is getting kind of long, but that's all right. So anyone that tells you that Superman was a hit, I'm so tired of explaining how movies work. Superman was an embarrassment. It was never a hit. And anyone who really knows how movies work will tell you it was a colossal failure. As a matter of fact, I always talk about if you add for inflation, Man of Steel destroys it. But I actually think if you just went dollar for dollar, James Gunn's Superman edges it out, but not by much. And that's not even adjusting for inflation. That's with, I think honestly, James Gunn Superman does edge it out, but it's awful close. And that's going dollar for dollar, not even accounting for inflation. And that, I think Man of Steel came out in like 2013. That's a whole lot of inflation there. So, but let's look at the numbers, because Forbes puts this. Now, this is not even me working it out, which I worked it out, and I told you guys way back when that it was a failure. But this is Forbes telling you what a failure it is. Okay, so they're calling it a worldwide hit, and they're saying what a great, huge hit it was. And then Forbes puts it in perspective. So let's see, Warner Brothers is framing it as a huge success. They're saying, oh, it's such a big success. We're already planning a sequel, and we're doing a Supergirl movie. And I think they're planning to do a Clayface movie. That's just going to be abysmal loss. They just don't know what they're doing. This is the way that Forbes looks at it. Okay, so this is Forbes, not Reverend Bill. This is Forbes. 616 million. Okay, let's see. They're doing the budget was 225. Marketing, all this stuff is what I did in my head. They're just putting it on paper. Box office. So they're putting it down that they've lost 42 million. I'd put it closer to 50, is what I said. So they're putting in the loss at 42 million. That's absolutely abysmal. I put it at losing 50, but we're in the same ballpark. So that by no means is a hit. That means this is a disgrace. But they'll spin it whatever way they want, because they've already committed to making more movies. So what are they going to tell you, right? But Forbes has got no pony in this race, and it's saying it lost 42. Reverend Bill says 50. But regardless, it's a huge, huge loss. Okay, now I'm going to tell you something that's really interesting. I like to find things that not many people know. And this I found really fascinating. So, and I came across this accidentally. The stories you heard about how we came over and we killed all the Indians and took their land, and it was all because we were vicious and we were cruel, and all the barbarisms we did, isn't quite true. Isn't quite true at all. And here's what really happened. And you can look this up. Reverend Bill would not lie to you. The truth was, number one, the Indians were much, much better fighters than are given credit. They were fighting among themselves way before we ever came here. And they were nothing to sneeze at, especially three of them. I think, for my money, that the toughest were the Comanches. They were really good. What they were experts at is with horses. They had it down. They could actually ride on the side of their horses and shoot arrows using the horses as shields. And you couldn't fire at them because you couldn't hit them, but they were experts at shooting arrows under horses. So they could move and shoot at you. You couldn't shoot back at them. So, I mean, they were like guerrilla warfare, only they were moving targets. Really, really good. And they were really good. And a lot of the battles they were winning because they were so good. Also, not to sneeze at, the Apaches were probably number 2, and the Sioux were really good too. Anyway, before we even put our feet on the soil, these guys were expert fighters, and they knew the land. The battles we had were not so one-sided as you might think. As a matter of fact, we weren't as successful as you might think. So you might ask, okay, well, we certainly wiped them out, though, didn't we? Not really. No, we didn't. We didn't, actually. Not like you think. What brought the Indians down was are germs. 90% of the Indians that died of smallpox and the flu and all our other diseases. 90%. What ended up happening was our we had immunity. They didn't. So when we came to the land, our diseases spread like wildfire, and they started dropping like flies. And over the hundreds of years, 300 years, 90% of their population just fell down and died, and their numbers dwindled by our diseases, and they ended up having no warriors left. So it was sheer numbers that just dropped, and it ended up the Comanches, I think, were the last ones. They just had no men left. So if you look into it, you'll find that 90% of all the American Indians dropped dead from the diseases that we brought them. Now, I'm not saying we didn't kill our fair share. We did, and a lot what we did too is we killed the buffalo, which actually hurt them a lot too, and we caused a lot of starvation and all that kind of stuff. So there was a number of contributors. But if you talk about pure battles against the American Indians, that really was not the number one contributor. Starvation and disease is what really killed the Indians, the killing of the buffaloes, and the lack of immunity to all the disease we brought up really did the American Indians in. Had it not been for that, I don't think we would have taken the whole country. I think it might have been more like a treaty. I think they would have, if we had tried to take them on toe to toe, and they had been at full strength, and they wouldn't have dropped dead, I think you would have found out it would have been more like a stalemate, I think. And I think they would have kept a lot of the country back. They were not a pushover. They were really fierce warriors. But they were decimated with starvation and disease. So next time, you hear about how we came and slaughtered them all. That's not really true. I guess in a way we did kill them, but it wasn't from pure warfare. It was from germ warfare, really. So, hey, that's it. Hope you enjoyed that. And if you did, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you didn't, hey, come back again. I'll try harder next time. So this is Reverend Bill signing off. Have a great weekend.